your host, Matt Brunquell, for today's webinar on the keys to converting Oracle Forms applications to Java. Conversion projects can be a low-cost, effective way to retain your investment in Oracle Forms applications, particularly in existing application business processes and logic. This live webinar demonstrates the keys to migrating Oracle Forms applications to Java with the front end. Now, before we get started, I want to review a few housekeeping items. For you new to Composer Technologies, we are a U.S.-based company that does application modernizations worldwide. We have questions on the webinar, and the way you do that is to use the Q&A button on the WebEx toolbar. It's with the question mark. Now a chat button, but it just makes it easier for Khalid and I to look in one panel for the questions to make sure we address all of them. It's Khalid Beg, who will be providing the demonstration portion today. Khalid is our Director of Technical Resources and manages the Oracle Forms conversion projects that we get involved with. He's been involved in both Oracle Forms upgrades as well as Oracle Form conversion projects to Java, and a long time ago he programmed in Forms himself. Though, let's go ahead and review the agenda. So the objective for today's presentation is to provide you with information on converting Oracle Forms applications into the Java environment. Start with an introduction that includes an overview of Composer Technologies. Next, cover the key areas to consider when converting Oracle Forms applications to Java. We'll follow this with a demonstration so you can see how easy it can be to migrate and deploy an Oracle Forms application into a Java environment. This is followed by a Q&A session. Feel free to post questions throughout the briefing and the demo, and we'll get to them during the Q&A session. Composer Technologies and its CipherSoft business in particular is part of Daegis Inc. with over 30 years of experience in database, development tools, and migration technologies. The CipherSoft business has an established and very successful practice for modernizing Oracle Forms applications. We're an Oracle Gold Partner and a member of the Oracle Modernization Alliance, or OMA. The OMA is an Oracle initiative to help customers modernize their legacy applications and infrastructure. CipherSoft business is only focused on modernizing Oracle Forms. A application should be as intuitive for the original developers to maintain as it is for new developers with no experience in Oracle Forms. Practically speaking, this means your vendor of choice should provide a one-to-one conversion in the code as much as this is possible. That conversion is more than the forms, menus, and libraries created by the customer. All line capabilities that the Oracle Forms framework provided be replicated as well. For example, one of the many things the Oracle Forms framework does is the sequence in which triggers are fired. An Oracle Forms application typically will have trigger the form, data block, and field level. So the framework manages the sequence in which those are fired, among many other things. Customers have also emphasized the benefit of maintaining the look, feel, and navigation for the initial conversion. Reproducing all of the functionality of the application is not enough. It needs to behave similarly in the new environment in order to minimize the impact on the end users and avoid retraining. Retraining can be a significant cost savings. They also find it's much more straightforward to test in similar to make sure all of the functionality and behavior is present. User testing in the new application is much more difficult if you cannot compare it directly with the original Forms application in a like-for-like manner. That illustrates some of the keys to creating a path for the developers involved in the migration project, whether the original Forms developers or Java developers. In addition to producing clean Java code, keeping the file structure of the components and objects, or as much as they were in Oracle Forms, provide a reference point both the original Forms developers and the Java developers can follow. In Oracle Forms developers, this also eases the learning curve into Java. In that previous slide, Oracle Forms knowledge is rewarded. Keeping the terminology, object, and method names and class hierarchy helps tremendously in reducing the learning curve for Oracle Forms programmers and makes the transition to Java as smooth as possible. However, the generated application needs to be and is 100% Java EE application. And in generated architecture, the key concepts and fundamental principles of object-oriented programming can be easily identified. And the illustration shows just a few examples at the application business logic layer. You'll see well-known Java design patterns as well as classes and methods, but there's also inheritance, interfaces, objects, packages, abstract classes. You'll see polymorphism, method overloading, and Java data types. And that information can be maintained and extended in most Java IDEs. We can get to the architecture in more detail during the demo, and a paper is also available. Before we go into the demo, let's take a moment to review the conversion process. This graphic illustrates the high-level steps in a conversion project with our solution. We use this process when we perform a conversion as a service, but have the option to license our conversion tool and go through a 4-day training to perform the conversions themselves. In this process, you can migrate the entire Oracle Forms application to Java. Much of the conversion is automated, but there are some items that are not converted automatically due to environmental differences between Oracle Forms and a 3-tier Java enterprise architecture. As part of our tool, there's an analyzer utility which flags these differences so the time and effort to complete the migration can be estimated. Let's go into the demonstration. And here's what you'll see in the demo. We will convert the Oracle Summit application. It's as large as some customer applications, but it has elements, menus, libraries, and business logic that you see in most complex forms. If we were to run this through our analyzer utility I just mentioned on the previous slide, it would come up as a low, intermediate complexity, maybe even a simple complexity because of its smaller size. Now, full conversion, and we'll know that like for like in a browser to illustrate some of the examples from the 4 keys to conversion. Customer-defined templates can be used for those wanting a new look and feel for their converted application. After converting the application, we'll deploy it to an application server so you can see it running side by side with the Oracle Forms application. You can see the impact to the end users is minimized. And also look at the converted code in a Java IDE, and you see how the project hierarchy and naming of the components is maintained. And I'll switch this over to Khalid for the demonstration portion. Now, it's for Khalid, but I still need to unmute him as well. I think now you're unmuted. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can. So.
Great.
As Matt said, my name is Khalid. I'm involved with Forms upgrade migration from Forms 3 to 11G, like all the forms between them, like for example, Form 4.5, Forms 5, Form 6, Form size, and then 9i and 10G. So the thing I normally manage here is Oracle Forms migration to Java, and that's what we're doing to do a demo on. We can a Summit application. Summit application is not a complicated application, but it has most of the components Oracle Form uses in there. For example, like it has a master detail relationship, it has a tab canvases, it has calls from forms to form, passing the global variable, using the system variables, and as well as tree structure and stack canvases and other things. Mostly everything I would say is present in this Forms application, and I'm gonna go through very quickly. Like this is a tree structure. It has like a drop down to change the tree structure dynamically, and this is Oracle Form at this time that I'm showing. This is master of this detail, and this becomes a master of this detail. So if I change it here, you will see that everything change here as well as change here. The second form, which is your order form, basically it has like a image on dynamically changing help, like content canvas and things like that. So basically this application has most of the components that Oracle Form uses. Normally we normally do a conversion of all these three forms. It contains a menu, which is MMB file, and it also contains two libraries, which are your PLL files. So the conversion tool is like it doesn't need any install sheet. It's just a zip file that you unzip at your end, and then set up some configuration for database connection and all those things. So I'm gonna start the conversion tool quickly here. Here, this is the conversion tool. You would notice that there are not too many things on the main screen of the conversion tool, but behind the scene there are about 60 man-years of work on how to convert the PL SQL forms to Java side as well as on ADF presentation layer side. So there are different processes that you can apply in conversion tool. Like for example, you can change your library, convert your library to the library PL SQL to Java. You can convert your menu or forms. If there are package name, for example, you can change any of these package names. If you don't like COM, or if you are living in a different country where you want to use your country abbreviation, like for example UK, you can use UK here. The company is the second input where you have to change your company name, for example, to Boeing or something like that. Application name is the name where you will use like account receivable or any application name that represent that application you are trying to convert. Presentation layer, there are two types of presentation we do migrate the Oracle Forms to. One is version, which is your browser-based plugin version, and the second is your Oracle ADF Faces 11G version. So today we are doing the plugin version demo, but if needed, we can do a ADF later on. And coding character is basically like you are in a different country. For example, if you are using Chinese character set or Arabic character set or Hebrew or anything like that, you can change encoding how the migration will take place, actually how the things will be changed. Folder where everything would be, output folder where Java code and everything would go. Database connection, basically this is only needed for the reference purposes. We anything from there, we do not write on the database. What we normally do is there in the form that you can define variables and record type or item types depending on table columns, basically. So that's what we read, and then according to those findings, we convert the Java data type. So convert process, I'm going to start the conversion. As I said, there are two libraries, three forms, and one menu. So first thing which we recommend is to convert the libraries. So when we convert the libraries, we select both the libraries here. And the files are open. Now you have to put on the right side for conversion. And this analyzer, Matt has already talked about that. Basically, I don't want to go in there, but you can run the analyzer right from the conversion tool. So the conversion will go, and since these libraries are very small, basically, so they don't take more than 5-6 seconds. Over average estimation is about like the conversion tool can convert about 1,000 lines in a minute, basically. So if you are using 100,000 lines of PL SQL code or library code, then it would take about 10 minutes. So one conversion is done, and each conversion process has its own log file. So basically, that log file will display how the process went. For example, in this case, obviously both the libraries converted successfully, and what these log files are, they are created for every day. So for example, if you have like 30 libraries and you converted 10 today and you are converting 10 tomorrow, then for today's log it will create a log file with today's date. So what will happen down the road in 2-3 months time, if you want to go back and see what you did, at least you have a audit trail and a point where you can go and see what you converted, what were earnings, what were the exceptions or anything like that, basically. Mostly the things that do not get converted, as Matt said, like for example, go-to statement. Oracle does not have one-to-one go-to statement as, Java does not have go-to statement as Oracle has. So that go-to statements are not converted automatically, but we highlight that go-to statement in the log file as a warning, basically. So you can delete either, you can go and change Oracle form, replace your go-to statement with the if and else logic, or while or true loops or something like that. Or you can do it later on, but you would know which line the go-to statements were, which forms or libraries they were in there. That's good enough for log file. So once the conversion for library done, the second recommendation is to convert all the menus if you have all the menus. So I will select the menu here. This is MSite menu. Say convert. And again, it's a small menu, so conversion comes back quickly. And the same thing, the log file will appear for the menu. The last I'm going to do is conversion of all the three forms. So I'm going to take all the three forms here, put the right side, and then press convert button. There is a log file again for the forms, and I just check everything should be okay. And once everything is okay, and again, we don't recommend that the conversion should go as one step, basically. If there are thousands of forms that you are converting, you cannot run all the forms together, basically. Try to make them manageable components or categories and then convert them together, basically, so you would know what has been converted and go from there. Last step of the conversion is this, which is called like Java EE web module conversion. That basically creates the WAR file, and which is called like web archive file, and that's the file you would use to deploy on application server. You use any type of application server as far as it is Java EE compliant, and most of the application server nowadays are Java EE compliant anyway, which means like Oracle Fusion Middleware, old version of Oracle application server, JBoss or WebSphere, IBM WebSphere, and in this case we are using Tomcat, but it is a lighter weight application server. It is easier for development and for demo purposes. Creating the WAR file, the first thing you have to give is the name of the main form. If you have main form, and most of the Oracle applications have a form like that, drives rest of the application, which opens the first thing the user sees is the main form, basically. In this case, the main form is called customers. And the same thing you can do is compile Java. You have an option to compile the converted Java code right here in the conversion. Or you can do it later on, is set up in JDeveloper or any of the IDEs and compile the converted Java code there. So I just put a compile Java, and in this case it would compile because we have been doing a demo for the Summit application. But in certain cases, in real world examples, sometimes the code doesn't compile, and the reason could be any of the environment differences like go-to statement or anything that might have caused it not to compile. I'm going to put the generate button here, and what it will create a WAR file for me, and then later on it is compiling the Java code here. When it's done, it will create me a log file. I'm going to minimize and go and see where my log files are created. This was my output folder, and if you see the date and time is okay, so I'm going to go pick that WAR file, copy that WAR file. I have Tomcat 6 running on my machine, and I have already a web apps empty folder here. I paste here. I start my Tomcat for this application, and I'm going to see if it is deploying. Once it is deployed, and the reason I see is like the exception you are seeing is Tomcat exception. Is nothing to do with the application deployment. The mean that if you see the deployment is successful or not is this message we produce: Express server mounted successfully. That means the servlet is ready and it is deployed successfully. The thing what I normally do is open a browser and it's set up here, so I'm gonna run this here, and since it is an applet version, you would see that it will come up as right here, and screen is the same as you would provide the login screen in Oracle form. And there's a way to bypass this login screen if you want to. You can set up in the configuration that a username or password, and then it would not display a login screen, it will automatically log in to the user. But normally you have to log in, submit is password. You can provide database or you can leave the database because there is only one database at this time, so you don't need to provide the database name. Just press OK button, and now the application will appear in the environment. It is running under so it can be now an internet application, so you can use it from home or from where, as far as you have internet connection available. So on the left side, that the Oracle Forms application, and on the right side it is the Java application. The look, feel, and the functionality is similar, and that's one of the reasons we created the Java application. So there is no training or very little training on the user side. So it's not like spending hours and hours or months and months training users and rewriting your technical document or user guide saying now the things will work differently. No, the things work the same way as they were running before. The only thing is the environment is Java. There are more things you can do in Java, or you can add your own functionality later on if you want to. This is the same thing. As soon as I select any of these things, you would see that these are automatically changes because there is a master detail relationship, and we get those functionalities in the Java environment. So the same thing, like drop down. If you go in drop down, for example, if you go in sales order, the same thing. There is a drop down on list change trigger, and then you can see like if you click the main one, you will see all those four here. You can, there are dynamic where clauses like change in customer phone number or change as customer name. They be dynamically changed. As I said, most of the functionalities are available in Oracle Forms. I'm gonna go back in customer and Unisport. I'm gonna go in customer, select my Unisport, and then here I can click to open the next form, which is mouse double click. If you're Oracle Form programmer, you would know that. The same thing you can do here. You can double click with mouse. It is doing, when forms are called from forms, it is passing some global variables or setting up the parameters, and it will do an execute query on the next form. So you can see in the look and feel is same. You can dynamically change the image off. There is no images, but there is a description, so you can change those description here. Like for example, image off. Help is there. The same way as help is here. And then exit out. It will give, do you really want to exit? So the same thing. Do you really want to exit? You say yes here. You say yes here. It will go back here. On the back, just want to show this list of values. The same, can use the list of values here. Functionality, the logic stops when you press the list of value. The logic stops right there. You can change the list of value and go from there. So you see the look and feel, how the conversion is done. Some functionalities are again, if you are using go-to statement, you have to change it. If you are using any OLA2 or any other components, there are manual intervention required, but like most of the application might use one or two forms that might needing a manual intervention. The next step what I'm going to show to you guys is the code looks before and after, how the structure is done. So if you see in Oracle Form, I'm just going to take one form from Oracle Form, which is called customers. And on you have forms level triggers, you have alerts, decogs, obviously canvases, program units. So when you're doing conversion, The conversion does, Oracle form especially, the conversion does this conversion in two passes. The first pass is to extract all the PL SQL statements, and those PL SQL statements are present in triggers or program units. And when I'm talking about triggers, those are on form level, block level, or item level. And the program units, we extract them and create the Java methods for those in the same name classes, and I will show it to you in a minute. The pass is to convert all the presentation layer, for example, canvases, windows, and alerts, and create the appropriate presentation layer file, basically. If it is ADF conversion, then we will create a JSF files, and if it's a plugin version, we normally create XML files. Actually, I've already deployed this application after conversion into JDeveloper, and I'm going to open this Summit application right here. The same customer file. This is a customer form, you would see. Customer structure is that these are all data blocks, control, nav control, navigator as customer, these are right here. We'll be asking where the triggers are, where the program units are. Basically, triggers and program units are part of the Oracle form main components. So they go in a Java class, which is with the name of the form. Like customers is the name of the form, so it creates a name of the form called customer.java. This is the place where it creates some of the form properties. You will see alerts are created here. So if I say alert definition, delete alert, you see some of the alerts, set name, caution. What are the two buttons that alerts uses? Yes and no, button 1, and then the message. And that's for second. Now, if you go further down, you would see that the program form level triggers are defined right here. Pre-form, when close item, and Matt mentioned, basically we keep the naming convention the same, like the names are same. Sorry, not convention, the names are same. Only thing is that we change the names to use the Java conventions. For example, in triggers there are dashes with pre-form dashes, and underscores, and maybe in program units we take them out and we create the name Java accordingly, basically as pre-form, when window close, when new form instance. And if I go in one of the code, let's take when new form instance, you will be saying set application property. This is right here, set application property. We are using the same built-in names, same block names, and everything same. So someone who knows, like me, I'm an Oracle form programmer, but have been moving to Java side using this converted code. For it's much easier to know where the things are, what the set application properties are, and all those things basically. So one-to-one conversion, it does same functionality. Now you would say where this set application property is defined. Basically, we have our own framework where these things are defined. And I let Matt talk about at the end how the source codes are delivered to you, and if you can customize that framework source code and all those things later on, basically. But let me just go through this. And the second is set menu property. If you see, like refresh tree country, this is a program unit. Like in Oracle form, you cannot go directly to refresh tree country until you try to find where it is. But in Java, you can say go to declaration, it will go to refresh tree country, and you can see all the code here. For me, I have to go in Oracle form and then press this button, and it will bring this up. So it's easier to maintain in Java side once you are there, the functionalities. Where are the block level triggers and item level triggers? There might be a question around that. Like for example, this is a block, it has a trigger, post trigger. So if you go in this block, which is called as customer, I see that the items are defined right here. These are all the items. They are all defined as their own methods, basically packages. And there is a file called scustomer, which is the block name.java, and it is the block level triggers, which is post trigger right here. So if you see post trigger, it is defined right here, basically. There is a select statement, and select statement needs some more thing to go on. So it goes like that. This is true for item level. Like if there is an item level trigger, I don't know if there is any item level trigger, but there would be a file under there with the item level, and there is, like for example, there is no trigger, so it won't define anything in here. The structure you would see is very like formatted structure in Java side. Like we haven't put all the code in one file or one Java class by different methods. No, we created similar Java classes name as the item names or block names or the form names are. We have placed their triggers and their properties according to that in those particular classes, so it would be easily manageable and all those things. So if you have to add items and all those things, you can do that. Basically, where I end my my demo, I already showed like conversion tool process, before after conversion, deployment process, and the before after code. So it is time for Matt to get a question, and we can go from there.
Great. So we'll open it up for the Q&A now. And again, just as a reminder, on the next toolbar, there is a button with the question mark. You have to post your questions. We'll go silent for a minute here while we collect the questions, and then we'll click on and we'll start reviewing these. All right, we'll go ahead and start going through the questions because a few have come through already. The first one is, what versions of Java does this convert to or support? I'll let you answer that one.
We can go as far back as 1.4, so we can support 1.4. We have certified for 1.5. We have already did our QA on 1.6, and it's working fine. So we haven't done anything on 1.7 or further, basically. So 1.6 is the last version we can support over framework.
Next question, is a recording of this available? That is yes. We actually did record this, and it'll be posted on our website in the next day or two. And I'll show you the well, here it is at the top of this slide, composetechnologies.com. If you go under resources there, you'll find all our recorded webinars, and this one will be posted there within the next day or two. Next question, what about the reports? Does this convert the reports? And Halil, I can't remember, you may have mentioned this during your demo, but this does not convert the Oracle reports.
Not
typically do
Oracle reports. However, no, we convert Oracle report automatically.
Yeah, customers do one of two things. Either A, they will, for the first phase of the project, continue to run the reports against the converted Java application. And there is some integration that needs to be done between the reports and the Java app, but it's fairly straightforward, and the amount of time just depends on how many reports you have. But we've done that in projects and has practices for that. Second option is they rewrite the reports and have a reporting standard they're going forward with, whether that be a Java-based reporting tool like Jasper or like Oracle's BI, or just using some other corporate reporting standard they have, like a Cognos or Business Objects or Crystal. That's the beauty of a converted Java application is, it's very straightforward to integrate those types of solutions in with the application once you have that converted into Java. Next question, is there a list of the things not converted like the go-to statements that Hope mentioned? I have a white paper on the environmental differences that talks about basically the three different types of environmental differences. It does, I don't know if it's a complete listing, but it provides a pretty comprehensive list of the environmental differences that our analyzer flags that won't be converted. And in many cases, it has the best practices for how to address those environmental differences. And that's one thing I want to make sure is clear is we talk about the analyzer flagging the things that don't get converted automatically. But any of these conversion projects, whether we do it as a service or someone licenses the tool and goes through the training, those things always get addressed as part of the project. I mean, you know, you end up with a complete application converted. It's just there's always going to be some pieces that don't get converted automatically. And the amount of time a project that's involved in addressing those, it just depends on the size of the project and the nature of what's in your application. I mean, you know, a lot of projects we have, the environmental differences take 1 to 2 weeks tops address because you know, conversion is addressing so much. In other cases, though, it can be longer. It can be 1 to 2 months. So that's the answer to that question. Any other questions? So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, but if you think of one while we're wrapping things up, go ahead and still post it. We'll see that. Kind of went through today the keys to conversion and outlined the key benefits, which are listed here again on this slide. And we followed this with a demonstration of a live conversion, so you can see how easy it can be to convert an Oracle Forms application to Java. So thank you, both Halid and I, for participating and your interest. When you exit out of the webinar, a little survey will come up with 3 questions. Please let us know how we did, what you expected, were things you wanted to see that you didn't, or maybe perhaps a future topic that you'd like to see. We do these webinars every other month, and we use that feedback to drive the content of the future webinars. And if you are interested in pricing and to know more about the tool, I'm sure one of our representatives will be following up with you at some point over the next few days. Again, and have a great day.